Hello, I'm Adam Price, and I'll be showing you how I repaint my dolls. I'll be making X23 with the likeness of Daphne Keene from Logan. I'm a huge X23 fan. I have a lot of her comics, and these are just one of my favorites. And also, she originated in X-Men Evolution, created by Kyle Craig. And she was in Marvel's Capcom 3, which I loved her in. These are some materials I use: pastels, watercolor, pencils, some acrylic paint, but very little bit. And then I also have some gloss too for the shine effect in her eyes later. And the pen. I do the pen for like thick eyelashes. It's easier to do that, or sometimes for the pupils. And there's the gloss, the varnish gloss I use. And then I use acetone to erase her face. I like to use pure acetone, truly eats the factory paint off. Q-tips help for like blush or just little mistakes to fix. Pins to hold down the paper or whatsoever to cover her hair. Have a little tool just in case to chip off some paint if it's too thick. Water to thin out the paint. And then I always use thin brushes, very important. And then a gas mask, and I use Mr. Super Clear. This is, I think, the best thing to use for sealing the artwork on the face of the doll. You're gonna want to spray 2 layers of it at least before starting to build that texture so you can draw on her face. And then this is where I use acetone. And I did her face before, but I didn't like it, you know, a lot of trial and error. So this is me just starting over to redo her face. Usually I do this a lot with like, sometimes I redo faces once in a while when I get better at drawing. I go from light to dark when drawing out her face. So basically what I'm using is like a reddish brown auburn watercolor pencil to highlight, to draw out the lines of the angles of her eyes, her eyelids, her eyelash, and also do subtle details around her nose and lips to highlight her likeness of Daphne Keene. Daphne has like her eyes are pretty big, but also they're also pretty wide in a way, but her eyebrows kind of gives her that angry look in a way. Not to say the actress is always angry, but it just fits, you know, for the character. And I spent a lot of time in the beginning drawing out the face and the eyes because I'm trying to make everything even as possible too. So stuff like that, like if one eye is bigger than the other, that kind of bugs me. But I did learn that in real life, you know, people do have one eye is bigger than the other sometimes. Not everyone's eyes or features are perfectly even. They may look even, but they're not. And I learned that way by flipping the image through my phone, and that's how I do my measurements sometimes.
If you say you need me one more day. Don't be sorry, this is my journey to find my whereabouts. I'm so happy to take on a burden to free my destiny.
So around here, this is where I take off the towel from her head sometimes, because I just want to see exactly where her whole eye placement is, eyebrows, and I just do better, like, so I understand the whole scope of her face. And then over time on layers, I just, once you get the outlines of everything, that's where you just apply the makeup and the blush and everything, even though she doesn't really have that much makeup, but it, obviously with pastels, you need to build the human characteristics and the pigments and the blush, and that's where I'm using after layers on layers, that's where I apply the darker color pencils, and then I use the white color pencils for the whiteness in her eye.
You want me here to stay. If you say you need me.
So this is where I use white acrylic for the whiteness in her eye, like I mentioned. But I also like to paint, before I add any strokes in the eye itself, I put a little bit on my thumb to just thin out the droplet of the paint so it won't become so thick on her eyes. Or you can just wear gloves and do that, but it's just easy because you want to be very careful of how much acrylic you use. After, applying the big steps with the acrylic and highlighting the features of darker colors, this is where you kind of relax a bit and just do finishing fun details with the blush, with pastels, and adding finishing touches. Just that, to satisfy that final look, And you always want to take pictures in your process. That's what I do, just to double check from before, oh, I should have, that looked better before. I might need to go back to that. For the final thing I do after everything is done, I use white acrylic again to add the white dots in the eyes, like the eye shine, that anime look in a way. I always like that look, so you have to be very careful. Just a very thin paint and a very thin brush, and yeah. After doing that and everything else, this is where I'm applying the varnish gloss to add that shiny look. Here she is, Laura Kinney, X23, and in the comics as of right now she is the new Wolverine, but she's dressed from her outfit from Logan, and she has her cute little sunglasses, and I really like how she ended up, and this is how I repaint my dolls. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a good day.